What's up guys, how are y'all doing today? Today I want to talk about Tesla going into India, or at least entering the Indian market, and just talking about the importance of it. So before we get started, like this video, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe as that greatly helps out the channel, and let's begin. Alright, so Elon wants to enter the Indian market and actually have some products available in India. The issue has always remained the very high import taxes. So import duties in India basically double the price of a vehicle. So a $35,000 vehicle in the US, basically a $35,000 Model 3, which yes, it is available, will actually be equivalent to about a $70,000 vehicle in the US. Or at least that's how much the Indians will actually have to pay for it in their conversion to the rupee amount. And that's actually a lot. That's almost as much as a performance Model 3 for what you're basically getting a standard range with like 250 miles of range. You don't want so much import duties on such a car because for electrification you need cheaper vehicles, you just need cheaper cars. And yes, Teslas are on the high end. They're not necessarily cheap cars or affordable to the mass market. They're still considered a premium brand. There's really no shortage of people in India who can actually afford those type of cars like Mercedes, BMWs. A lot of people actually have them, although the percentage of people who actually have those cars relative to everyone else is obviously much less than in the US or Canada. Now Tesla, in a few years, supposedly 3 years, they are bringing out a $25,000 vehicle, which will likely be a hatchback, more compact and whatnot, which will also be the robotaxi. And obviously considering how Model 3 today gets like a margin of like, I think it's like 20% margin on their vehicles. You add that margin and then you improve cost with battery and actual manufacturing, you can easily get the cost down to $25,000 with a really good range, like 250-mile range, or at least above 200-mile range for a $25,000 car. Now in the India market, obviously you want a cheaper vehicle, especially a cheaper electric vehicle. And what I think is going to happen is the $25,000 car, or the whatever supposed Model 2, that's like the online name of it. The Model 2 is what Elon probably wants to focus on, especially in those emerging markets like India, and especially in China and even Europe, because Europe, you need smaller compact cars. China, to broaden your market, you want those smaller compact cars. And in each market, you're going to have a different product. So although it's going to be considered the cheaper car, right, the cheaper than a Model 3, like a $25,000 price range car, but they're going to be different in the sense that the China-made car is going to be pretty much completely different from the European-made car because they have different needs for each continent or country or whatever the case may be. And that's probably what's going to happen in India as well. So you're going to have probably a factory in India, which is actually going to go up, where is it? So Tesla wants to open an R&D center in Banglore. So that's obviously going to be good because you want research and development to be done in India. And here's the thing, everyone talks about the car aspect of it. Oh my gosh, cars are way too expensive. They're not going to do well in India. Well, tell me this, India is primarily run on coal. I don't know what's the percentage, but it's like 60, 70, 80% of their electricity comes from coal. And even in 2020, there are a lot of places in India that don't have electricity. So what if, because solar production in India is actually much cheaper, like for example, I'll just give the example of Australia. For some reason, in the US, it's really expensive, but Australia, it's like less than half the cost to buy solar, the same price of solar. So it's like $5,000 to fit your entire home with solar, and that basically pays for itself in like a year or two. So it's really cheap, and the same thing will happen in India. In India, solar prices are really cheap, and especially with Tesla entering the market with their R&D research team, they have the best engineers working on this issue big time. So you get the battery prices low with their new battery cell that they're coming out with. They're going to have some probably iron phosphate technology or for the cathode and stuff. Using that, they're going to get their battery cost down to around $50, $60 a kilowatt hour, probably less. And you add solar with that, and all the cities or towns or whatever where they don't have electricity, just no electricity at all, they can provide solar power, or at least solar electricity. So it'd be 100% renewable. You would bypass the grid entirely. And with solar getting so cheap and batteries getting so cheap, it would probably be more financially feasible to add solar and batteries to that location rather than tying a connection to the grid. In the future, possibly we can connect everyone to the grid. That's not the issue. But right now, there are a lot of places, especially like in India, that still don't have electricity. I, being in India, I kind of know this stuff. So obviously, I live in Canada. I've lived in Canada for the majority part of my life, or latter part of my life, actually. But I still know the issues revolving around it. And if you can target the energy sector, I think that's where Tesla would be the most successful. Not saying that they won't sell any cars. They will sell a lot of cars. But I feel like Tesla needs to target the energy sector more, because coal is not really sustainable. That's for sure. We're going to run out of it eventually, and India is one of the, they have what, 1 billion people there, so to power their electricity needs, you're going to need a lot of energy, and you can get a lot of energy from the fusion reactor in the sky, aka the sun. That's what Elon always wants to do. He wants to basically get the energy, the light energy that's actually coming from the sun, to hit the solar panels, to be converted into electricity we can all use in our devices, in our homes, for refrigeration, or for basically whatever need we need. That's where I would assume that Tesla needs to put their most effort into, especially going in this emerging market. Now, there are, I think, like a few Indians, or like a couple Indians, I don't actually know, obviously some really higher end ones, of really rich ones basically, that who have actually imported a Tesla into India, and obviously they had to pay some hefty fines and whatnot, and obviously it wasn't an actual Indian made car. I'm guessing they had to import it from, I don't know, probably like the UK made variants, because it's a right hand drive country. So because of that, they had to pay a lot upfront for their vehicles. Now, for example, if Tesla sets up their factory to produce solar, batteries, and vehicles, obviously they might have maybe 2 factories in India at least, considering they actually have $5 billion in cash that they raised just last month. They can expand heavily and invest heavily to where they need to go. So you have 2 factories, one producing solar panels, batteries, the other one producing their cars. With that combined, you can actually produce a powertrain in the battery factory alone, and then just ship them there, and then produce the cars. And because labor is cheaper there, even though Elon uses a lot of robots, and it's I think it's arguably the most advanced factory in the world, Tesla can actually make the vehicle so cheap that it can undercut the prices of the American made, or even like Berlin made cars. It would be probably comparable to the China made vehicles. And the reason why they can't just simply import from China to India, even though that might seem like a good idea because China costs are low, but it's because of the import tariffs. That is what's limiting. And that's what's been limiting Europe sales as well. Like the standard range Model 3, I think was like $50,000 US. So you pay $40,000 in the US and you pay $10,000 more for the same car in Europe. It's kind of stupid, and that's why with the new factory going up, that would probably undercut, at least stop the tariffs. Even if they produced the same exact car without any improvements, without any cost reductions, it would still reduce the cost of a Tesla there by about $10,000. Now in Europe, I think they also include VAT, and they also do that in India as well. So VAT is just taxes, by the way. So they include taxes in there too, but still, nonetheless, paying 2 times the amount for the exact same car you can get in another place, it's kind of like, that's kind of a lot. So Tesla entering India is actually a very, very good idea, very good news. And I think Elon was waiting for some technologies to actually be matured enough so that they can actually implement them in a very direct fashion per se. So now they actually have their solar business. They've been developing their solar tiles, their actual solar panels. They're actually installing them in the US. They're testing stuff out. Now in India, they can actually do the R&D and research. By the way, India is also like much closer to the equator than like US or Canada. Obviously Canada, but even more than the US, which means they have a lot more sunlight to play with than the US might. And considering to power the entire world, you can provide basically, what is it, a square of like 100 miles for the entire world of solar panels, and it can provide electricity for literally the entire world. Split that apart into different parts, say rooftop solar, even though India probably they have terraces, but obviously newer buildings are coming up, so I'm not getting into the details here. We'll try not to, but yeah, overall I feel like this is a very good move by Tesla, and I hope they are successful at actually entering the Indian market and have a great big impact on this market. We really need to transition away from fossil fuels, and Tesla is basically the only company that's actually really pushing hard for it worldwide. Obviously there are companies in India doing it, companies in Europe, China, whatever, all of them. Tesla's arguably one of the biggest, I would say, but nonetheless, all of the other companies working in India, that would also give them a boost. So Tesla entering the market, they'll be like, okay, it's a big contender. all the little companies out there trying to produce their own solar panels, trying to provide green, sustainable energy for their customers. That would also give those companies a boost as well. So this is just the best thing to happen, and I know a lot of Indians are really excited for this, especially actually people living in India who might actually have a reservation for a Model 3 since 2016, and they might actually get one this year. I don't know, like not this year, but maybe next year, the year after, I don't know. But yeah, this is going to be really, 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 really good for Tesla. And yeah, entering one of the biggest markets of like cars, solar, everything. You got like 1 billion people living there. Pretty much majority of them are your customers. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm really hopeful for this. I'm really hopeful for the adoption of sustainable energy in emerging markets. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments below and let me know. Are you an Indian who's actually excited or have a reservation for a Model 3? I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you next time. All right, peace.